You should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. Sorry, Brian, this is going to work out really well. I'm the hottest thing inside the picture right now. Yeah, you're the only other guy. My bachelorette party's that kills, just so you guys know. Half the time they're half drunk, so they're just having a good time. But we're looking for blue and black. We're looking, and there's always going to be blue and black in there as long as there's a person in there because it's a contrast of temperature. We're looking for those blue and black areas to start moving on their own or to take shape on their own. So a lot of times it's just going to form in the shape of a person, maybe a face. It just depends on how it's actually going to pop through. So with this one, we're going to be doing a few. I'm going to tell you about your camera because you're the only one with a camera tonight. People do not like their cars to be filmed, and they definitely don't like to be filmed themselves. So part of the reason why I always use that camera first, and usually as a staple, is because it is small. So if somebody's going to their vehicle, you're just going to go the other way. And please don't film cars directly.
Yeah.
All right. So we all seem like responsible, sober adults tonight, which is super cool. So that's going to be fun. That's definitely not a Saturday. Let's head up this way.
Okay. Oops, sorry.
This is a very brief stop, especially with a party this size. You have to remember when I have my 10 to 11, I now have to further explain the devices that are in your hands. So this is the big red barn lot. This is where we keep the horses for some of your carriage rides. This is only one company. They can't hear us, which is exactly why we use earbuds with the noisy spirit boxes. They don't like the white noise. They will kick the metal wall and scare the bejesus out of all of us. Yes, so we just started using earbuds probably about 9 or 10 months ago. But anyway, this is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Keywords here being delivery, milk, eggs, anything relative to a stable. So let's talk about the two communication devices that we're actually working with. What's the first question everybody wants to ask, like a Ouija board or a spirit box?
Are you somebody here?
Is somebody here? Exactly. So in the event that you hear the answer of no, that means somebody's here. So we are not going to be using yes-no questions all night long. Again, you don't get paranormal evidence, regardless of whatever your TV shows are telling you, out of yes-no answers. Even if you're a skeptic and you're here for shits and giggles, let's try to get some actual evidence and get some real details. Here's an example. And when I'm teaching people how to use these things, it's a matter of like using them at first to try to get answers you already know the answer to. So if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we are listening and looking for the color red. But Sarah's using song lyrics and DJs to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available from that song lyric or DJ, but fire truck, blood, heart, those three things are specifically red. I would take that as a direct answer as acceptable. However, most of the night I'm going to require, because there's enough equipment out here, to be able to get it a minimum of two things that are going to kind of have some kind of occurrence to be able to even come close to classifying something as paranormal. Another example. Let's say Ashley's word list has the word art on it. That doesn't mean anything to us by itself. But Sarah hears the number 40, relatively close to that. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team, and we're still close to Big John's Tavern. You kind of see where we're going to be putting a lot of clues together, and that could come in an anomaly from the camera. It could come from EMF readings. It could come from a lot of different things. I just like using the two clues this way to try to verify and make things a lot clearer. So with your camera, again, we already talked about cars and vehicles, so you're going to try to do two things for us. I know I said don't film people, but I do want you to try to film one of us at all times. Reason why, we're the warmest thing out here. It's part of the reason why I make the joke at the beginning. It kind of sticks in your brain. Now, the reason why is it's much easier to find a cold spot if a 97 to 99 degree person is also in view. So otherwise, everything just kind of blurs out into one shady color.
Yeah.
The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out. So you are the tallest one among us, which was weird for me to hand it to you. So you're closest to the sky. But at the same time, the reason why that blue dot defaults to the sky because there's no surface. So it's not an anomaly when it says 32 degrees that's hovering above us. That's just not how that goes.
I've noticed that.
So, but those are two very simple things. So with yours, we're going to talk more about yours at the next space. At this point, do we have any major questions? Do you have any other terms that have been showing up on there? Tool?
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
I got nothing.
What was the team?
New York Giants.
I'm fairly confident I heard Giants.
Okay. I'll be writing that down as we go to our next space.
All
See?
right.
It's a good thing you're getting the gist of that. That is not an easy task she's doing, by the way.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm asking her to use her senses in a way she's probably never done before, where she has to listen to me to try to get the clues and listening to a bunch of gobbledygook, basically screaming in her ear, because some of it is louder, some of it's lower. And I will tell you, when you guys get your recording back, that is one of the first things that I go through when I'm going through your data, because it takes the longest amount of time. So, because I have to kind of gauge what time it was, it occurred and that kind of thing, plus compare the notes of things I'll be writing down from her. All right. I say we get away from football players and ponies and go learn some real history.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys
Okay.
think? All
Do
right,
it.
let's go this way. Giant.
You want me to stop it in between?
Completely up to you, man.
Oh,
It's your
okay.
night.
All right. Well, I'll keep it going.
I will tell you, like, after our next space, we're going to be going like 3 blocks away. So I'll tell you to, like,
Okay.
go ahead and shut it down and give it a break.
Yeah. Just the I know you could ask me.
You don't understand. We just failed an escape room, and I'm feeling like a failure right now. So,
Which escape room did you do? Which-
time travel or something? Time travel?
Oh, I haven't done that one.
We're doing another one tomorrow. Trying to redeem ourselves.
I did
So
like
I'm
the
gonna nail
Egyptian
this.
pharaoh
All right.
one
Oh,
that
I
they
saw that
had. We did it. Oh, we did the pirate one. So
There's
I love pirate themes.
one in
I don't know what it
Colombia where you go in and it's like the murder. It's the murder and you have to escape is like, and you get blindfolded and the person like shoves you against this like wood wall, kind of bounce.
That would
And-
terrify me.
And then everybody's got blindfolds and you're all holding something. And you have to go to each room before the killer breaks into that room.
Oh, that's cool.
I
And
would
then
have
you
heart
end up
failure.
having to like crawl through this whole hole and stuff. And there's clues at the end. And it's actually the pictures of you holding like these clues up. Yeah, it was.
that's really cool, actually. My
Yeah.
wife did like an escape train once.
Oh, that
I
would be
don't remember
awesome.
where she did that one. She was on a work trip or something, and it was like a team building, whatever. But yeah, she like that's what got us started on those, was because she did that and loved it.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, it's all puzzles. You're gonna love it. We're gonna do the one downtown. Let's go. So, anyway, welcome to technically your first space. Now that you guys have a good gist on what your devices do, except for Chelsea, who's still kind of in the dark, just waiting for numbers to happen. But by the way, have you seen anything?
Nope.
Nothing.
0.3 is the highest.
Okay. Up to 1.1 is natural from the Earth. That's why we go to 2.5 to kind of verify we're way above the Earth EMF. Now, this place, welcome to a parking lot. Congratulations, you made it. Yeah. This place used to be something. This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion site. So their mansion actually sat in the front of this space. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. Now, for those of you with communication devices, spirit box tools, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. So you're going to be getting the answers from your spirit boxes, and hopefully we're going to get some kind of activity out of these guys tonight. This is usually a hotbed for me, but it can be touch and go. It just depends on the group. But who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. That's why we look for secondary clues. We need to know which Chuck we're talking to. Now, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a big deal for us, but I hate politics, and we're going to move on. So, everybody's good with that, right? Yeah, I figured as much,
Yep.
especially this week. The news is really bad this week. It's so bad. But at any rate, we're going to talk about Eliza. She had a much cooler story anyway. Eliza...
2 point. Nope. Went back. It was 2.7. 2.7.
Well, that's why they call it ghost hunting. It's not going to stay there and hold. Yeah. Yeah.
That's not bad.
So if it was holding at 2.7, it was probably coming from something man-made, which there's nothing man-made near us that would make that thing go off. So I would expect a 2.7, and then back down to 0, and then climb back up again, probably a 3 or 4. We'll talk more about it. But yeah, 2.7. It's a good number. It's a good starter. The average spike for here, just so you know, is 18 to 22.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah, that's average. That's a normal thing for this location. So, back to Eliza. She married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to get numbers like 12 and 14 like colonial times. It's going to be according to today's standards. The reason I bring this up is because her husband was over double her age. So kind of a creepy age gap back in the 1700s, definitely a creepy age gap now. So the reason why she married Charles is because her father was over in England and he thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his children home one last time. So she doesn't believe he's dying. So instead she stays put, and it's 1744. You don't get married in 1744 to get a green card. We're not even a country yet. So she did marry him out of love. There was no affair, no foul play. Don't even ask. Don't poke that bear. Now, she was right. Her dad did not die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Now, you've been in Charleston. Well, you guys live here, so you know what the word indigo is. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. You're the only one wearing it right now, because that's how we use it today. Are you blue?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, it's dark out here. When Eliza got the seeds, she had no idea what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here. So when she figured it out, she moved into a cash crop plantation, got a hold of her dad and said the rice plantations were going downhill, that they were going to make a killing with the indigo. Indigo is very difficult to make, just so you know, and it is very expensive. So now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. What do you have?
Wow.
Kind of vague.
Yeah.
Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are here. With only using 2 spirit boxes tonight, I'm just going to kind of throw out the slew of questions, and you guys kind of cherry pick on whatever you want to grab. So obviously the marriage question is a big one, so you can ask how old she was when she got married. Sometimes we get the number of years that her and Charles were married. Sometimes we get her age. Sometimes we get Charles's age. So if you're just asking about the marriage, you might get one of 3 numbers. The other questions we can ask, the mansion's not here anymore. Obviously, we can ask what happened to it.
Yeah, what
and if
happened?
we get that answer, when did that happen? That's a very specific date. So again, kind of keep that in mind. The children, I already told you that there was one of them. All right, there are more. You can ask how many children she had and what their names were. So the first one that I told you about was Charles. I didn't tell you anything else about the other children. I'm going to tell you not to poke the bear with this one either. Don't ask any other questions about the kids, because there is a tragedy among those children. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop, including the small EMF spikes that Chelsea's getting. So don't poke the bear on that one. I will tell you about the tragedy before we leave the space. Eliza's death. Ask anything you want to. How old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is a space where we are going to spread out a little bit. We're not going to be near vehicles. It's kind of a nice, like I said, when we have just 4 people out here, we can still spread out and still get a good amount of data coming through. But I am going to keep Chelsea behind so I can show her how to use that motion sensor, because we can use it in this space. And then what happens from there is I start bouncing around with you guys, seeing what's going on with your devices. Depending on what you're showing me or what you're telling me that you're hearing or seeing, I'll be taking some notes. If it's light, we'll move on pretty quickly. If not, we'll see if we can get some more answers to kind of tie some things together. Normally this space takes about 10 minutes or so. Again, mini investigations. A normal investigation takes an overnight status, or at least 3 to 5 hours in the middle of the daytime. You guys aren't prepared for that. You want to see some spaces and kind of move around. So this is one of those places where we can ask questions. What other terms have you had show up on your word list?
Just wow, since tools.
Since tools. So you've had 2 measly little terms come through, that's it? Wow, normally we have at least 8 or 9 by now. So, again, the way you see the whole list is you just tap this button here.
Right.
Oh, look, you have had a bunch.
Okay.
Tool, female, nerd, cartoon, street.
Cartoon? That's
When I
weird.
was back with them.
Criminal.
Yeah, still a bunch of nothing. And the way you get back to it is you hit this button right here. All right, you 2 start spreading around and kind of seeing what you got going on. Ask some questions, and I'll be with you in
Okay.
just a minute.
Is 13 relevant, how do you think?
Yes and no. It's very,
Questions?
like, up for grabs.
You can ask some
It would have been
questions.
the point in her life when she started becoming like a fan.
Right here, I'll do it. Or you have to go, because I have to keep you interested.
I usually don't grab that.
So, what happened to the mansion?
What year was it?
Yeah, what year? How did, I wonder how she died. I wonder how big the man, so, was this where they said that, oh yeah, the actual mansion was here?
Face this street.
Yeah. How many? Let's go towards the. Go this way.
Sack.
Sack? Oh. I wonder why Sack is relevant. Is there anybody here? Well, no, they said that was, they were just supposed to not ask about the tragedy. And if they said no, then that's it. Yeah, I see how finicky this is, because like if I don't have your like or somebody's body heat on it, you can't get any of the. So what does the list say right now? Oh, I can't. Oh, just Sack. I wonder if the mansion burned. If it burned down. Oh. Burned. Yeah.
Didn't you mention earthquake?
Yeah.
1888.
Yeah. Do we want to go over to? We haven't been to that corner. I just let you go a little bit ahead, just so because I don't want to capture this guy.
You've never noticed some of these places.
How did the mansion get destroyed? You can see where all the cool spots are. Cars. Yeah, well, you don't want to film a car anyway because it gets southeast. So which is south? Which way is southeast? Over there by that car. I wonder how big the mansion was. Like, was it just the size of the plot? I wonder if these gates are original area.
Who is the pallbearer?
Oh yeah, who was the pallbearer?
Whose funeral?
I think it was hers. Or yeah, wasn't the pallbearer a president? You what?
Rocks in my shoes.
Oh. There's a snake in my boot.
Alright, happy couple. What do we got going on here?
Nancy in Southeast.
Listen, Nancy. Names and numbers usually don't lie. So she just heard the number 20, which is Big John's first jersey number, and she did hear Giants earlier. So, and now we have Alice. So it'll and like you got a bunch. So Sensitive, Shed, Alice. Where does Shed come up? Were you guys just walking over there?
Yeah.
So right here in this corner was where the like almost like their garage would have been. That's where the horse carriage would have been held.
Oh.
So again, it's kind of a vague reference, but yeah, it's there, but not like, oh my God, check this out, it's paranormal. It's one of those things, and I'm sure you guys are picking up on like I'm not gonna continue.
I think before that though, I was like, so I wonder how big this place was. Like, where was the corner? I'm like, is the fence line where it's at, or is like wall?
So the property line of where these walls are is pretty much the same property line.
Okay.
So
yeah, because I think when that happened, I just happened to walk by. I'm like, oh, I wonder how big that mansion was.
I'm going to show you before we
okay.
leave.
Yeah.
I will tell you, like, it did go further than the median that's over here, because you have to remember there was the giant mansion a garden that she needed to work in, and
Yeah.
then there were small quarters in the back.
Okay.
To my understanding.
Yeah.
Now the picture doesn't show those small quarters because you're going to see that it's all damaged.
Oh.
But at the same token, she had servants on site. So,
Okay.
and the mansion was huge. It was obviously a mansion. So when you're on this screen, just so you know, it's still generating in the background, but it's not going to continue adding things to the list. So promising is also good. And I don't know who the hell the whale is. But the word promise is definitely a relevant term to this location, and I'll explain that before we leave. We don't see it too often, so I don't normally talk about it until something actually pops up with it. But again, it's more about the singular purpose of that is of the word promise, not promising. Because promising is a whole different thing. I'm just excited about that. So is this what you guys thought you signed up for, or you really weren't sure?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she's the one who's like, let's watch Paranormal Activity, and it's like 1 a.m. I'm like,
He had never seen it.
really?
You gotta watch all 4 of them if you're gonna do one. You
It
gotta
would-
do all 4.
She made me watch it.
No, I did.
Well, she's like, we're not going to bed. We're marathoning this.
I know. That's exactly how that usually goes with that. Is when you start one, you got to watch them all.
Or the Midnight Club, which we started.
Midnight Club. Didn't I start watching that?
Netflix.
It's Netflix.
Yeah, I did start watching that.
Yeah, the first 2 where I was like, what the? And then after it's kind of like,
It gets more into that,
Yeah.
very cliche, tropey type storyline.
The first couple were,
Yeah.
I'm like,
But I mean, I thought it was a pretty decent show.
yeah.
But yeah, it did get very tropey, and that's usually what happens with Netflix. Their writers are definitely that's what I went to school for. I recognize that stuff all day long.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I watch it with my daughter, and she's like, "Oh, it was really cool." Just hang on, we have some. All colors. So that basically means, because remember, somebody had to get closer to make it do that. So sometimes you just get a straight blue, or a straight, you know what I mean? You kind of, instead of it doing a stair step like that, so getting stair steps like that is almost better than just getting one singular color, just because they're actually getting closer.
First time I stepped in this spot, like before I did the first lap, it started green. I pressed the reset, and then it flashed green like 6 times, and then I did another lap, and then it did green. That's cool.
That's great.
I think I hit something.
I don't understand.
It's something happened. So this happened at this location a few nights ago as well, where it stopped scanning altogether. Or it didn't stop scanning, it just stopped recording, which was super weird. So,
Does lightning mean anything?
that's what it's
Thomas. Suggestion.
Oh, yeah. Talking about who was Thomas?
That's my knowledge.
I got lightning and a
Who
nightmare.
is Thomas?
The day after. It's actually it burnt down.
Hmm.
No, go higher. Thanks, this one.
Reset. Definitely getting a purple.
Do I just keep resetting?
Picture's not coming from you. Lots of green and purple in there. Eliza, give us a different color. Show us the color blue instead of purple. Blue. Make it stay on blue, Eliza.
No, I love purple.
Eliza, show us what color the indigo was, please. Thank you. Can you do that again and make it stay there? Color blue, Eliza. I want to make you stay there. Very respectable team here tonight. There are nights when I don't have
Purple.
respectable
I
teams.
like purple.
Mm-hmm.
Measures coming,
Please.
Sarah? Anything?
Do you get anything else?
Any colors coming, or any terms coming up on yours?
Thomas.
Thomas? Thomas, if that's you, give us the color yellow. show us the color yellow. Sarah, anything?
Bank.
Bank?
Bank.
Like money bank.
Money bank.
Thomas, show us the color yellow. Or if you want to tell us another clue about you.
Dawn. D-O-N. Dawn.
Dawn is. Thomas, I'm excited about. No yellows?
No yellows, blue and purple.
Sarah, you got nothing?
Purple, loud purple.
I see that.
Wow. This is so fun.
I think she's having a good time over
I
there.
love this stuff.
Thomas, show us the color yellow or tell us something else about what happened to you. Sarah's probably just missing something. It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I recorded spot check. She's gotta be missing something. Still on Dawn? Any numbers showing the phone?
Yeah.
Alright, I say we wrap this one up. Let's go back to the back again. I'll give us all the answers. I'll tell you why I'm excited about a few things. Brian, you can stop that camera and give it a break.
See stuff. They're on their coast. So they'd set up in old Afghan graveyards or old, like, ancient towers, and said they could see stuff or glowing red eyes in the distance.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, or they look away and they look back and it'd be even closer.
I would run.
You want to definitely keep that camera on your left.
Oh, left. All right. There we go.
Stop the video,
Yeah.
and then I splice them all together.
Okay.
So that way you have one long video.
Yeah, but there were a lot of those, especially in the Helmand and Southwest, where all the old castle
That's awesome.
were crumbling, and guys setting up firing pits, thinking there's just old Afghan walls, and nope, there were ancient castles and ancient Afghan graveyards.
They called for like weird places. Like, first off, I don't like do anybody's house or anything like that.
Yeah.
Even like the news crew I talked to this morning, like they asked me if I wanted to come investigate the newsroom. I'm like, that's a new episode for the podcast.
Yeah.
Apparently they have something going on there, so they're going to see if
Where
they.
I
It's,
missed it.
oh, it's I did a news interview this morning,
Yeah.
and they asked me if I wanted to come investigate the newsroom because
Oh.
there are things that move around. Apparently somebody died there,
Huh.
so it's kind of like, we'll see what happens. What names you got going on? Yeah, cool. No names, nothing specifically relevant to this location. Any names or anything pop up out of yours? Weird phrases?
Oh,
Nothing.
this is intense.
Yeah, it's very intense.
Awesome.
It's very intense. So, welcome to Lodge Alley. This is a very unique space. We don't spend a ton of time here because remember, this is a residual ghost. We're not going to like spread out and explore. I just kind of like to try to stir things up by talking about the events that actually occurred here. So, what the heck is this place? When we crossed that last crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be, which means you're standing on one of the first streets we ever had. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. Don't be too impressed, it's not a lengthy list. You guys normally tell me the same two names every 6 to 7 weeks. We're in week 2 of that loop, week 3 now of that loop. So I wasn't necessarily expecting it, so I never know when it's going to occur. That's why I say just listen for names and see if they pop up. Those two names are Benjamin and John. Now, Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801, the same time frame. That's 2 out of 5 people that lived down here. I told you the list wasn't very long. These 2 giant buildings were not here. Little tiny shotgun houses. Now, the only thing I have about Benjamin and John, well, I'll also point out John, there were 4 different Johns that lived here in a 60-year time span. John likes to give us his last name, which is Johnson. His name was John Johnson. So we will get John, Johnson, and Benjamin all in the same evening during that 6 to 7 week part of the loop. the weird thing, the only thing I can really explain about this is why it's happening. The bricks you're standing on, these are Belgian blocks. These things have been here since 1739 that we know of. The historians can't even get it straight themselves. So they've been here for a few hundred years at least that we know of. We're dealing with the stone tape theory here. Kind of like the same thing with the bullet hole back at Big John's, only basically the stone tape theory states that any stone or rock or earthly material that's been in the same space for a long period of time can hang on to the memories of the things that occurred there. And it basically repeats itself on a loop, which is why we get the same names every 6 to 7 weeks. I'm still like trying to pinpoint the exact time frame so I can say tonight's the night or tomorrow's the night, that kind of thing. So, stone tape theory, it's not been fully proven yet, but we have a lot of things going for us in this location. The other thing I'll point out about Belgian blocks is that they're made out of granite. They're not supposed to have an electrical charge to them at all, like say quartz or magnetite, which is basically a magnet. You're going to literally put your device on the ground and tell me if there's any numbers that show up on your screen. Don't worry about the motion.
Right now?
Right now.
Okay.
Pick any brick you want.
Take that out because it's scary.
So I would expect up to a 1.1 because that's natural from the earth. So you have, what, a 0.5?
0.4.
Yeah, so a bunch of whole not enough. So I'm not going to be able to record anything from that. Again, this is week 3 out of that loop. We're still 3 weeks away from anything really starting to occur. But the other weird thing about this location that doesn't fall into that loop, the reason why this is named Lodge Alley is because the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here. Lodge Alley. You guys are getting the point. The funny thing is with all the spirit boxes that I use, a lot of times the guests will tell me as we're walking into the alley before you know anything about Freemasons that they heard the term Illuminati. The funny thing about Illuminati is that it's radio stations. Who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? That's my first question. Second, why are we only hearing it here? It's the only time we've ever heard the term Illuminati. 6 times last year in 2021, 3 times this year in 2022 so far, and I verified every single one of them. We have gotten other terms wrapped around Freemasons, which would be like founding fathers, symbols. What do you got? Elder. That is actually, I want to say it's a rank. Is it not a rank in Freemasonry?
Is it?
It's very
Elder,
interesting.
yeah.
Very interesting. I'll be diving into that. I don't think I've ever seen that term come up, especially like at all, ever. I've been using that particular app for about 6 years now. But the word symbols will show up. We'll get Mason, Freemason. Founding Fathers is an interesting one too that we've heard several times in this location. But I think Illuminati is still a little funnier just because again it's the name Illuminati, like again conspiracy theories. So again, we don't spend a lot of time in this space. Obviously we didn't get any EMF out of the bricks. You haven't heard much coming out of it. She's like, damn, this job is hard. She keeps crossing her arms trying to like...
I'm not helping anymore. That's too intense for me.
I'm excited about Elder. Like, I'll be honest. Like, your list tonight is actually very good.
Ceiling, synths, classical, elder, ultimate.
If there's an ultimate Elder, I'm going to shit my pants tomorrow morning. You guys aren't going to know. Just so you guys know. Like, I would be stoked. Like, that would be me in my office, like, jumping around. But this is me excited, by the way. Like, there's a lot going on with that list tonight. I don't know what you did to it, but it's one of those pieces where it can give us nothing, or it can give me, like, 25 terms. We never know. And the average in a 2-hour time span is about 75 terms total, like, out of the conglomerate. I don't know where you're at right now. It tells you at the very bottom.
45.
45.
Clothes.
So,
Clothes.
like wearing clothes? Unless it's something a little bit more specific. They did do an archaeological dig here, and they found like certain tools and anything. I don't know that they found any clothing. They did find some evidence of fire underneath these bricks, so sometimes we'll get something fire, because I mean, you gotta remember all the dozens of fires that Charleston's had. Yeah, there's gonna be evidence down there. But yeah, that word list tonight has been very fruitful tonight. I'm pretty excited about it. So hopefully Sarah's is going to match right up with yours. So again, she's like, I don't know. There's nothing on here. Just wait until you guys get your analysis back from me tomorrow. I'm going to find a crap ton of stuff. The next alley we're going to, I can't take you all the way through it. I've been kicked out. So we're going to stick to one side of it. The reason I got kicked out, I'll go into further detail, but it is residential on the other side, and I was out of bounds. And it was when I first started this company, so it was a matter of like I was kind of like winging it and seeing what was going on. But I'll explain more about how I got kicked out, because that's the fun part of the story. And it also explains why we go to the last place place that we're going to be going to. So we got 2 more stops that we're going to be making, but there's like 3 more stories along the way. Depending on what comes up out of your spirit boxes, sometimes this is an area where I have to go off the cuff because we're getting into a very popular story type area, and we're going to be running into those much larger tour groups if there's going to be any out tonight. I haven't seen any even when I was walking around town before I met with you. It was kind of like to get a gist of how many tours I'm going to be running into, but we just kind of stay out of their way in the event that we do see some of those larger tours, and I'll pick our spot for us and before we actually start investigating the very last stop. Any other questions about crazy stone tape theory stuff that I might be able to answer? It's a weird theory, and you're going to get some links about it tomorrow.
Well, there's that, like, if you go to, because I've been to Dachau and Auschwitz and all that stuff, if you go there and you go to the walls, they can't get the blood out of it, no matter how much they wash it, no matter how much, even when they chip away at it, it's still
What's still in there?
the blood.
Sorry.
From where the blood from where they were executing people, and they can't wash it off the walls.
God.
Yeah, it's
They try like sanding it out.
Thomas again.
There was one
Thomas?
Thomas that lived down here.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did though. They usually, on that list, it shows their occupation as well. So that's usually how I tie it. Or if it gives me the last name, obviously.
yeah.
That's a big one too.
Yeah, the Germans have tried to sand it, everything, and it won't come out.
That's crazy. I don't have shit like that here. That would be like a grand stop.
Yeah.
I'd be calling the owner, like, can you let me in with Torrid? We've only got 11 of us.
Yeah, well,
We're good.
you can't find those places because the Germans let the trees and the branches grow over the signs. So they're there on maps and stuff, but they let nature kind of grow over the signs, so you can't really find them.
I guess over in China, like they have like the suicide forest over there.
It's Japan, I think.
Is it Japan?
Mhm.
Japan.
Like that's a crazy thing going on over there. Like I've watched, I don't know how many documentaries on that place. That's a weird one.
Yeah.
Another alley?
Let's do it.
Do it.
That forest that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That was a terrifying story.
Oh, yeah. That. Ooh.
Oh, by the way, you're going to end your film as we exit because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood.
Okay.
We don't record houses because we don't do cars. Poor Sarah, I feel bad. She's really focused.
Sad. Ooh.
I just had to reboot the device.
Okay.
So, Amanda's moving down soon. They're eventually going to get married, and he's pretty happy about that. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. That's what everybody around town called him because he was a whistler. It was late 1700s. That's what men did when they were happy, apparently. So, I don't know. But we're going to talk more about that whistling in just a minute. But I will tell you that every haunted city you will ever visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. Like, it's just one of those things. We all have one. Him and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because Ralph makes more money, or the doctor makes more money, so he gets better seats than Ralph. So that's kind of how that goes. It's the hierarchy of Charleston. They go see Richard III one night from Shakespeare. They start arguing over the new actress that was here at the play. Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. It gets even more heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in the heat of the argument, but they go their separate ways, all pissed off at each other. I told you Ralph has a lot of friends here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Kind of a jerk move, if you really want to put it bluntly. The doctor sees the ad, but rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this shit once and for all. They say settle this shit because it's 1786. So they came down here, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. But Ralph?
I think I heard murder.
Murder's good. And that's an interesting term, because he technically didn't murder him. He shot him in the kneecap, and he fell to the ground, and his friends carried him home to 59 Church Street, and he died anywhere between 4 to 10 days later, depending on which version of the story you read. So, they say as you walk through here, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. You hear how quiet it is? It's like this on a busy Saturday afternoon. You cannot hear the hustle and bustle of anything around us. I don't know why. The other tours will actually tell you that you can hear the gunshots as well. I will tell you that I have some whistles in the background of this voice recording that we're recording right now that I can't debunk. When I used to take my groups all the way down here, it was an honor. Honoring Amanda. If you get Amanda up there, that'll be a different, like, we'll have a full phrase. Or if you're here, Amanda, or if you're missing Amanda. But I will tell you that every local knows this story. If you're going to go all the way through this alley without a tour guide, because we can't take you all the way to the end, turn on your voice recorders, listen to it later, see what pops up. Keep in mind, all the locals know this. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. We're going to end over there. My garage is right there. I have to pass the alley every night. So I always throw a whistle, especially to throw off all the other tours.
Oh.
And if my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. We love messing with all the other ones. So here's how I got booted out of here. This was before we were using earbuds on the spirit boxes. It was like, all right, turn those down. This is about the voice recording. But I would always show off the other bricks on the other side because they're older than this side. The reason why is because this alley was cut off. This is where they held the livestock for the city of Charlestown. So this was called Cow Alley at one point. Those bricks on the other side are older, which means they were sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there and fingerprint swipes in the bricks off to the left. You guys have already picked up I'm all about researching history. I always showed them off because we need to see how far we've come away from slavery. It's a nice reminder. Everybody wants to try to get a reading out of those bricks. I treat those bricks the exact same way I do a grave. That kid is not staring at that damn brick in the afterlife. That is the last place you're going to find him. However, November 26th of 2020, yes, a very specific date. I'll never forget it. My entire group of 10 is huddled around one brick, waiting for something to happen on a spirit box, an EMF reader, so forth and so on. You get the picture. I'm trying to shoo them along because it's outside the dining room window of a beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. New owner came out, not very happy, screaming, yelling. I was out of bounds. Didn't really know it yet. Again, new at that, this kind of thing. So we move along, and the next day was Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour. The reason why? I worked in retail management for over 20 years, many of those years for Walmart. I will never work another Thanksgiving for the rest of my life, just so you guys know. Now, the next day, I got a phone call asking me to go down halfway, which is what we're allowed to do. That's as far as we're allowed to go, or to reroute my group. Somebody told. Guess who? So I decided that night it's not fair for my groups of 10 to try to investigate around 10 to 20, or 20 to 60, which is what we were running into. There was a lot going on down here. So I told my team, we're going to go tell the story over here, and then we're going to go this way. I don't know much about this pirate story because I'm a vampire guy, but we're going to wing it and see what happens. My group's like, okay, that's cool. You know, they're happy they're touching paranormal devices. Tickets were much cheaper, too, by the way. I couldn't wing it now. So somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box before we leave the space. And I went, oh, shit. I did not tell these folks we were going to be investigating the famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I was like, all right, maybe something's going to happen. I'd been at this location dozens of times and never had anything. When I got up there and I told what I did know about piracy, which wasn't very much, somebody else hears the number 300, and I don't know what that means until I do the research the next day. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I went, damn it. Now I got to learn about pirates. It is very difficult to try to put together factual investigations based off of pirate lore. Y'all should be lucky I have a master's degree in creative writing. I've read a lot of books about piracy, and I've watched I don't know how many documentaries and movies about piracy, trying to piece together as many facts as I can. The next location we're going to is a matter of, it's a hit or miss. We're either going to have a ton going on or nothing going on. It's just one of those locations. I hate to end a tour that way, but it actually works out when it's a really great night and we get a lot. So, also I want you to keep in mind everything we're going to be discussing up there came from more than one resource. When I put this together, this whole piece of the story, it is a matter of, it's very elaborate because it is pirates, and I did not romanticize anything, but I wanted to make sure it came from at least 2 different sources. So the other term that I was looking for would have been the word rose with the word banana. Here's the reason why. 59 Church Street that we talked about earlier, where the doctor lived, where Ralph told him to go rent a room from, is a bright yellow house, and it is called the Thomas Rose House. So what color is the Big Red Barn? Blood works there, right? What color is 59 Church Street? Banana works there. However, it's very vague, and until I have something else relative to 59 Church Street, like the word church, 59, or the word Thomas or Rose, I would be more excited about that. Like, you did have the name Thomas, but a little too far apart from the word banana, if that makes sense. In time space, not in like where it's at on the list. So again, we had Thomas when we were over at the Lodge Alley, and she had banana on the way over here. So again, I don't have a good variation just yet. I will also tell you we will get a lot of bleed over from this story of the duelers over there. It's really, really close. You can continue filming the rest of the night if you'd like. There's no more like major stops because the next stop we're going to is our last space. We will spread out again like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion site, and hopefully we're going to find a lot going on. Your device is very active over there, only in one specific way. I'll explain once we get there. Again, ignore your numbers until we get to that location. Anything crazy on yours, Sarah? Damn it. At first, I thought I was going to have to offer her a job because she was giving me like some really good stuff. All right, let's set up the chair. Another method to use the device is to actually put both your lenses and then voice into the earphones over. So that way, that way you don't know what you're listening to. So you would basically just be spouting off answers and seeing whatever you hear, seeing if it's relevant to what the rest of us already know. You don't want to put noise canceling. I don't know which company he's with. He's been out here since the summertime. We've been crossing paths a little bit. Again, I don't have a whole lot of friends in this industry.
Okay, just lights.
Yep, all about the lights.
Should I go over by the cemetery? Or you stand there so I can get a better. I guess I can use your heat. You just stand there for that. So you said that's the oldest building there? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I remember that building.
Again, this is the only space I've ever gotten red, like, without it coming from somebody's motion.
Then it goes orange.
Had anything come up on yours?
I had picture was helpful. Jason. Jason. I had happy time travel.
She's funny with that. Like, I didn't know how she was gonna do with it, honestly. She's having a blast.
This was a photo magazine.
Yeah, oh, it was.
That's what it's called. This is
Hmm.
Oh, I got Mary. Mary.
Now I'm excited. I don't have to write that one down because it's on your list. Please tell me you have another name.
Not yet.
She has the mom's name.
Oh. What is it?
Mary.
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 Alright. So, final set of answers. First off, you should know the photograph I'm about to show you and Bonnie is one